I'm fine. Oh my god. Ah, so hot. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pleasure Trove. This is a series where we discuss sexuality and relationships in the news, media and culture, and I share with you some sexy faves. So let's dive in with some news. News. A news. So it's Pride Month, and once again, we've just seen horrific transphobia in the British media. So recently, a lot of anti-trans activists and politicians have been attacking the LGBTQ+ charity Stonewall for their interpretation or their language around the Equality Act, which was completely accurate. But basically, Stonewall have this diversity champions program for universities and employers and different organizations to kind of make sure they're treating all of their staff and their employees and everybody like well, okay? In terms of non-discrimination around sexuality and gender diversity. And a bunch of universities and other organizations, I believe even some government organizations, have pulled out of this scheme because of this attack on Stonewall. I'll leave an article in the description by a trans journalist that I would highly recommend you reading if you're interested in the semantics of the whole Equality Act thing, because that's what it's really about. These people are just getting fussy about semantics and then using that to fuel their transphobia. And the coverage of it in the British media is just kind of what you would expect from our really transphobic British media, and I'll be talking more about that in a bit. But also I'll leave a link in the description to this article by Jeffrey Ingold, who is currently taking a break from being head of media at Stonewall because of the awful transphobia that the organisation and anyone associated with it receives, even if they're not trans. So Jeffrey Ingold is a cis gay man, and he acknowledges that in the article of if I'm burnt out by this, then what is happening to trans people, right? And I just wanted to read a quote from what he said. In fighting for trans rights, Stonewall itself has become a lightning rod for hateful online comments. On a daily basis, we're accused of sterilizing children, promoting rape culture, and erasing homosexuality for wanting trans people to be able to live free from violence and discrimination. So if you can, please donate to Stonewall or other organizations that champion trans rights. And it might be a good time to find out what newspapers our parents are reading and maybe what information they are getting from those newspapers about trans people. Because the British media is obsessed with talking about trans people, but not to or with trans people. In other news, but also on a similar topic, Instagram recently released their pronouns feature, so you can now add your pronouns to your bio on Instagram. This is obviously great because it means that we can be accurate when referring to other people. I will say though, if you see that somebody doesn't have their pronouns in their bio and you don't know them personally and you are not 110% sure that they are cis, maybe don't slide into their DMs saying, hey, why haven't you got your pronouns in your bio? Because unless you know, right, that person might be questioning, they might be figuring things out. So I also just want to state that nobody has to put their pronouns in their bio if they're not ready to, or if they don't want to out themselves or anything like that. But what this is a great opportunity for allies to put their pronouns in their bio to show their support for trans rights and just to kind of normalize pronoun declaration, I guess. But Instagram introducing this kind of feature should by no means used as a form of pressure to get people to disclose to you their pronouns or their trans status or anything like that. So this next story is about something different. It's about vulvas. However, we're going to come back to Instagram. We will come back to Instagram. So recently there were some articles circulating about how people don't know all of the parts of a vulva. And basically what I believe it was some doctors in hospitals asking patients and people who came in to kind of mark on a diagram of different parts of the vulva, and loads of people got stuff wrong, basically. The article that I read about it was in The Guardian, and I just had a few gripes with it because it's kind of oh, these idiots, they don't know the proper parts of the vulva. And I'm okay, it is a problem that people don't know anatomy of genitals, right? Because there's a huge stigma around it. However, it's not their fault, right? They've been failed by the systems. And I wish we could use news like this just as an opportunity to be oh, sex ed is failing us. It's not people, it's not individuals who are failing here. Like, it's not their fault, they're ignorant about certain things. And then Kalali, who are a period products company, recently launched their We Need to Talk About Vulvas campaign. And this is where we're bringing it back to Instagram, because they had illustrations of vulvas, which are designed for educational purposes and reducing stigma, removed from Instagram. I swear to God, you bring in the pronouns, but then you're taking down educational illustrations of vulvas. And then also recently, the gynae cancer charity Eve Appeal noticed that the hashtag for vagina was hidden, and they launched a whole thing about that and were like shouting about that. And Instagram actually did apologize and say that it was a mistake. But these algorithms that make these mistakes were built by humans who have been raised in an erotophobic society where we think vaginas and vulvas are things to be scared of, things to avoid, things that are rude and crude and ruining young people's minds. Onto some lighter stuff. I have a lot of books for you in this Pleasure Trove episode. Heartstopper Volume 4 came out. This is a comic by Alice Osman about two gay teenage boys. At this point in the story, spoilers, they're very happy and in love and in their relationship. But this comic very much explores Charlie's mental health and his eating disorder. And I just love these comics so much. And it's being made into a Netflix show, and I am so excited about that. And I believe that they've cast a young trans actress to play Elle, who is a trans character in the comics as well. And so I have high hopes for Heartstopper the series, and so we shall see where it goes. I also finally picked up Beyond the Gender Binary by Alok Vaid-Menon. This has been on my list for ages, and obviously it's just a very short little book, but it is fab. I also bought this at Gaze the Word, which is a queer bookshop in London, and I'd never been before, and it was on my list of like bookshops to visit, and I finally got to go. So this little pocket book is specifically about non-binary gender identities, and there's a great section in it where it takes like common debates and arguments that you might come across and kind of like an answer to it. Just like, here's why you're wrong, and here's why you should treat non-binary people with respect. So great, would recommend. Also, this collection of essays was recently published, We Can Do Better Than This, 35 Voices on the Future of LGBTQ plus Rights, edited by Amelia Abraham. And I'm getting through it. I'm just kind of like picking different ones that seem interesting to me and I want to read about. There is a whole essay in here about transphobia in the British media. I learned so much from it in terms of like the history and the different ways that the British media has talked about trans people over the last like several decades. That one is by Juliette Jacques. I really loved Andrew Gerzer's essay in here called Happily Ever After Isn't Accessible to Me. Andrew Gerzer is an incredible disability activist, and he's been on my podcast as well. There's so much good information in here and so many incredible queer voices. I would highly recommend. And from the essays that I've read so far and just seeing like the full contents page, it just really shows you the scope of LGBTQ plus rights. There is just so much more to be done, and it just shows the ways in which sexuality and gender really are a part of our everyday lives. They are social, they are political, they are relational, financial, like all of these different parts of just society. But then you add like sexuality and trans status into that and you get all of this. Would recommend. And then I also wanted to shout out Come As You Are, and you can be like, Hannah, you talk about this book all the time. Yes, but there is a new addition to it that came out in March this year. And Emily Nagoski, the author, has put up on her website 3 like podcast episodes, and I believe there's a transcript as well, so you can read it or you can listen to it, of her talking about the main changes from this version to the new version. So yeah, would recommend reading or listening to the kind of like preface of Come As You Are, 2nd edition, and also if you are somebody who is interested in this kind of stuff or a sex educator, might be worth getting the updated version. Mine has a very grubby, dirty vulva on the front, but yeah, I'm definitely still keeping this one though because it's got all of my like notes and stuff in it. Moving on to some TV favorites. Feel Good Season 2 came out. I don't know if I ever talked about Feel Good Season 1, but I loved it, and I think I loved Season 2 even more. It is Mae Martin's show, and it follows her character May and her girlfriend, love interest George. And the show, in such a short amount of time, is able to pack so many themes in. It's about relationships, it's about sexuality, it's about discovering your gender, addiction, mental health, finding your place in the world. And then season 2 also had this Me Too storyline, and I also want to give a bit of a content warning for it, for like PTSD, panic attacks, and grooming as well. Like, how does it manage to get all of these things in and also like be funny and also take all of these very serious topics really seriously? Obviously the show is heavy, but I just wanted to talk about some of my favorite like laughing out loud, like hilarious moments. The bit in the like social justice teachers meeting where they do the check-in, as someone who's currently doing a sexuality educator certification, cannot tell you how many check-ins I have done in the last year, and that tickled me. It really tickled me. The entire montage of all of George and May's different like dirty talk and role play scenarios, that was just, it was hilarious. Like, I'm just thinking about it now. I think the Game of Thrones-esque one was the one that like really got me. I was just like, oh shit, it's so good. And then one of my favorite scenes that I would love to discuss in the comments, if you have seen it, was with George and Elliot. And George is saying how much she just wants to get fucked and like have filthy sex, and like talking about like the dirty porn that she watches. And Elliot tells her off for having problematic, unfeminist sexual desires. It's so interesting because a lot of the stuff that turns us on is not going to be PC, but we should allow space for our like filthy, dirty, kinky turn-ons, right? And a lot of the time things are turning us on because they are taboo. And if you are somebody who is feminist, then unfeminist things might be your taboo, right? I loved the exploration of that theme in the series and how sexual shame can look like a lot of different things coming from different kinds of people. Would recommend. And I really want to talk to people about it, so please talk to me about it. And then also in TV, it has been confirmed that Loki is gender fluid, and the new Disney Plus Loki show has come out. At the time of recording this, only one episode has come out, so I've only seen one episode, and there was nothing explicit about Loki's gender, at least that I didn't pick up on. But it would be interesting to see what happens with this. I am so here for a gender fluid Loki. I love Loki. However, what are Disney/Marvel going to do about it? I'm intrigued to see, because they don't have the best track record for LGBTQ plus representation, even when they explicitly say, oh, there's a gay character, and then you get like 5 seconds of it, and it's just like, there's your representation, enjoy it, here's the scraps. So I don't have high hopes, but I'm also like, there's been so much backlash from their lack of LGBTQ plus representation, that them saying Loki, a confirmed gender fluid person, they gotta follow through. Surely. The exploration of gender in Feel Good, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, Mae Martin. Next up, I have a film favourite for you, and it's some pornography. I'm not joking. So I recently discovered Lustery through Poppy, who I interviewed on my podcast, her company Self and More, who are an amazing sex toy company. We're doing a collaboration with them, and I was like, homemade porn? Let me check this out. So yeah, it's homemade porn videos. It's all behind a paywall. Pay for your porn, people, please. They are real people, real couples. They do a cute introduction to the videos, at least the ones that I've watched, where they're like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is our video for Lustery, and this is about us and our relationship, and then they go have sex, and it's great. At the time of recording this, I've applied to their affiliate program, and hopefully by the time you're watching this, I will have a link for you. So like, please use my affiliate link if you are interested. Although actually, no. I can't link to porn in YouTube descriptions. I have a channel warning because of doing that in the past and then realizing, oh shit, I can't link to porn on YouTube. So this is the link if you want to use my affiliate link to get a Lustery account. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pleasure Trove. Please chat to me in the comments, chat to each other in the comments about all of these different things. Would love to hear your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another video. That being said, this is my last video for a couple of weeks. I am taking a break, so no video for 2 weeks, so definitely make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the video when I come back in 3 weeks' time. I hope you have a great break without me. I'm gonna have a great break. See you in the next video. Bye.